Hello and welcome back to Conquering My Collection, and in this video I thought I would just do a quick little review. It's not like me to ever do anything quickly or succinctly, but I will try. I just watched this film recently, and in my Conquering My Collection journey over the past month or so, even more than that, 6, 7, 8 weeks, I've been primarily looking at short films because of how much time I have to watch films at the moment. And so like old silent stuff and well, that's pretty much it, really. Trying to think of anything else. Oh no, I watched some Krzysztof Kieslowski short films, and so yeah, some kind of world cinema stuff as well as some silent things, and digging into the early women filmmakers box set, which has been a very hit and miss journey. But I threw in a feature film, and I realized it's been a while since I watched just a normal feature film, and I really was aching for something modern after all the silent stuff. So I went for, and it just kind of jumped out at me from the shelf. This is one of the Poundland pickups that I got a couple of years ago, and was like, yeah, I'd be kind of interested in watching that, and I just was really up for it, and I threw it on, and it's My Week with Marilyn. So this stars Eddie Redmayne as Colin Clark, who is a real person who worked on a film with Marilyn Monroe and Sir Laurence Olivier, and kind of had a story to tell that he told many years later, some like 40 odd years later, in a memoir. Two memoirs, in fact. And he talks about his week with Marilyn Monroe and how he was kind of an assistant on the film, and kind of shared some intimate moments with her, not physically, although they kind of dance with that a little bit in the film, but it's more of just like getting to know the real woman behind the icon, so to speak. And Michelle Williams plays Marilyn Monroe in this film, and it's really about the behind-the-scenes production of the movie that they made, and I forget the title of it because I think they change it. The Prince and the Showgirl, which I've not seen. I don't think I've seen any film with Sir Laurence Olivier, actually. And I also have never really seen a Marilyn Monroe film. I saw, what is it? All About Eve. I think she's in that, right? It's one of her early roles, and so it wasn't really much to go off. But like some of her big kind of movies, particularly Some Like It Hot, I haven't seen. So I'm mostly familiar with Marilyn Monroe as this kind of, again, more like a monolithic icon of kind of Hollywood history, and something of a tragic one at that. And I have to say, not really being super familiar with Marilyn Monroe in general, so to kind of taking that off the table, I think Michelle Williams was absolutely phenomenal in this film as Marilyn Monroe. There's so many layers to her performance. There's insecurities, there's confidence, there's bravado, there's tenderness, there's kindness, there's, all sorts of stuff going on. Deep-seated insecurity and kind of hurt and pain and mirth. There's so much going on. And it just got to the point where Eddie Redmayne, who plays Colin Clark, he was good as kind of this avatar to tell the story, like this kind of person who was kind of shepherding us through this, very mindlessly through this story, because he's just kind of wandering around like a puppy dog after Marilyn. He was fine. Eddie Redmayne, I think, is a great actor, but his performance was serviceable. And Kenneth Branagh, even, who plays Sir Laurence Olivier, gives a really good performance. It's a very theatrical, showy kind of performance. But they did something with his mouth, like a prosthetic, to kind of make him, I guess, look more like Olivier. And it kind of just drew more attention to the fact that it was a prosthetic, and I just kept seeing Kenneth Branagh. So he was very good, but it was very obvious in that sense. Michelle Williams, I just didn't see her in this film. I just saw this character. I just saw this version of Marilyn Monroe. And that's the reason I'm making the video, really. I don't think it's an amazing film. I think it's a very good film, directed by Simon Curtis. But she's just unforgettable, Michelle Williams, because I've seen her in a lot of stuff, and, not to say that she feels similar in different films, but, there's, I don't know, when you see a lot of an actor and they're recognizable, and it's not like they did anything crazy with the makeup. They just gave her the Marilyn Monroe hair and kind of the makeup and everything, but just the way she embodied it felt so complete. It was a complete and comprehensive performance to me, and it just felt like I was seeing this person come to life on the screen. Judi Dench was great in the small amount of screen time that she had. Emma Watson was really good as this kind of... she worked on another part of the film studio, and Colin is kind of courting her at the beginning. And I was really frustrated because it was clear to me, because she said, I'm not getting involved with anyone on a production because it always backfires. And he's like, no, I really like you. And then his kind of tryst with Marilyn takes off, and then, you know, he leaves Emma Watson, you know, by the wayside, just as she predicted. And towards the end, he's left kind of, you know, with egg on his face. Spoilers, it's not really much of a spoiler, but it got to a point where he went back to her, kind of with his tail between his legs. And I thought, no, don't give us some bullshit happy ending where she forgives him. And she doesn't. She's just like, yeah, you needed to have your heart broken a little bit. And off she goes and she leaves. I almost felt like fist pumping, like, yes, thank you. Like, it really didn't need to be that kind of story where, you know, he got the girl in the end anyway. Like, he needed to learn that lesson. But there is a sweetness to his friendship with Marilyn that I really enjoyed. And the legitimacy of the story, I'm not too sure what I believe when it comes to that. And, you know, if you were 23 years old, 1956, you worked on a film with Marilyn Monroe and you got to spend some time with her, and then 40 odd years passed, you know, you probably would write a memoir where you embellish the truth a little bit. And also, I have memories from like 20, 25, maybe even 15 years ago, where I'll have a version of it and someone else will have a slightly different version. I'll go, oh, was that the way it went? So I'm sure that once you're approaching half a century of time separated from the event, I can imagine there being, you know, a natural embellishment in the brain. So I don't really buy this as a completely like historical document, but it's a nice story, you know, and it does, you know, it very much lines up with what almost everyone else has said about Marilyn Monroe in terms of her erratic behavior on the set. And it's not just about his little kind of, you know, potential romance with the biggest kind of star in Hollywood at that time, this guy Colin Clark, but it's also about the making of the film and how difficult she was and how she was trying to do the method and was very tricky. And like, and there's some great scenes where Kenneth Branagh is just like losing his shit about her coming to set late and stuff and really needing to go over things. And there's just a bit where, you know, he's very, you know, very posh and very, you know, prim and proper, and there's just the way he's like, would you please, for the love of fuck? it just bursts out of there, and it's and it does say on the back, contains strong language. And there was a nice featurette on this called The Untold Story of an American Icon. It's like a nice, I think, 15-minute featurette. It was like an in-between from, like, it's not like a fully fledged, you know, warts and all in-depth making of documentary, but it wasn't quite a fluffy EPK style thing either. It was kind of a nice going through all the cast and kind of getting some kind of feedback from, you know, the people who played the parts. And it was a really good little making of, and it was kind of perfect for this kind of film. Like, I didn't need like a 2.5 hour, you know, documentary on the making of this film, but just to get some brief thoughts from the cast, I thought was really good, and from the director as well. So I really, really enjoyed this film, and I would recommend it. And I'm glad that I bought it. I'll keep it in my collection and watch it again someday. But it was, yeah, sometimes it's nice just to watch a good film, and it's a good film. It's not a great film, but it's a really good one. And it's a really good film with an incredible performance at the heart of it. I do think that it's probably one of my favorite performances I've seen. I loved the way that she played that woman, and it was just great to watch. So there we go. I managed to do it. Is that actually a review under 10 minutes? Who'd have thought it? So thank you for watching. I don't know what to do with myself. And I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.